We're going geeky now. I had a terrible experience that financially ruined me. A 1.6 is still my favorite. They call mine Smurf Blue.
It's
Looks
fair.
very Smurfy.
Welcome to Bid Left Nut. This is the show where we talk about auction prices and cars in general. If you're new here, I'm Stace Ghost, and this is Johnny Miata. And this is a special episode for him because this episode is all Miata. Johnny, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I am super excited because we're going to talk about my favorite cars ever. I
Yeah.
love Miatas.
We're going to be talking all day about Miatas, focusing our conversation mostly on NA. We're going to do some Miata trivia. We're going to test your knowledge. We're going to do some engine note trivia where you're going to have to identify what engine is making that sound. And we're also going to look at some recent auction closing prices. We might throw in a spicy meatball or two. We're going to play a little game right now called Hammer Time, where John's going to guess the price of a recently closed auction.
Okay.
All right, John, it's Hammer Time.
Hammer time. 9,000 mile, 1992 Miata. You got me so far. Four-speed auto. 9,009. Okay. Oh, it's so clean and it's so nice. And it's a later 1990. I can tell. I'll tell you why later. What do we think this sold for? God, the automatic kills it. It kills me. So
Come
low
on.
mileage, but it's an automatic.
Come on. It's
Higher?
not life or death, man. It's just a show.
$12,000.
It sold for 11.6. You were so close.
Okay. A 20,000 mile, 1992 5-speed. It's sunburst yellow. Ooh, it's got the basket weaves. It's a 20,000 mile. Oh, super clean again. Really nice. Love the interior. Okay. Well, that top looks like it's been replaced because it looks like it's stay fast cloth. I'm going to say $21,000.
The answer is, ooh, 21,250. You're close. Now, all right, coming up next. Very nice.
Love it. All right. So now we got a 1997 M edition. Love this car. 50,000 miles, a little higher miles. 5-speed manual. One of 3,097 M's made. I get it. It's got the chrome wheels, which I don't love, but that was the way it was supposed to be. It's got the Nardi shift knob. I like the leather. I like the speakers in the headrest. So 52,000 miles. I'm going to say this is 14.5 is my guess.
16. Okay.
16.
What'd you
I
say?
think that's
14.5?
I did. That's strong money for a 52,000 mile car, but by the same token, it looked beautiful and Miata brethren to benefit, right? I want these cars to increase in value. I don't have one right now, so I don't want it to go too high, but that's a good price.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we have next.
Oh God,
Oh,
what have you done to me? 94 Mazda M with a 6-speed swap, and I feel like it's got aftermarket wheels and tires. Momo Monte Carlo, I think. Emma, why did they do this? Why did you do this? Oh, good. At least I'm not going to hit a rock, break the oil pan.
what
I
do you
don't know.
think?
Oh God, I don't know. Is it 10 grand?
Let's take a look. 13.5.
Oh, come on.
But I've got to throw some curveballs in here.
It's fair. 13.5. I'm not mad that I didn't get that right. I wanted to say six.
Ready? Let's go.
Yeah, what else we got? Ooh, a Unos Roadster, the Japanese, the JDM market, love it. 5-speed, US titled, right-hand drive. Right-hand drives. Oh, wow, I love the low back buckets, although my neck wouldn't with the wheels. Okay, so give me a second here. 93 Unos. It's hard with the JDM cars to assess the values, so I'm going to go 10 grand again.
All right, let's see what you guessed.
$7,500. That makes a lot of sense. We don't know how many miles, and JDM is really hard to put a value on. So 7,500 bucks. I think it's bought right. I would pay that for that car.
Would you?
Yeah, I've always wanted a right-hand drive car. I've never had one.
Let me introduce you to a friend of mine who has had a right-hand drive Defender, and he'll tell you how much fun it is living in Boston with a right-hand drive car.
Oof. Yeah, I can't even imagine. It's hard
Parking
to drive.
garages are very difficult.
It's oh
LS1
God,
powered. Oh
you're killing me, Smalls.
yeah, I have to stop
LS1.
here. I made this the kickoff photo. Did you see the panel gap?
I got to tell you, having had a bunch of Miatas, the thing that I would always do is pop the hood. I wouldn't check the oil because I knew that was fine, but I would have to lift up on the headlights to make them flush with the hood. Like always. I don't, somebody must have been pushing them down because it knew it bothered me. This is a terrible car. LS1 powered 92 Miata, 6 speed. Oh, America, baby. Oh, God. This hurts my soul. It's got to be a ton of fun, though. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a lot of fun. Oh, boy.
Look at those gauges.
$1, Bob. 350 wheel horsepower. Oh yeah. 12 grand. I don't know. So hard. 12 grand. Come on. I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
$42,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for the seller.
All right. Good for the seller. But yeah, that's crazy, right?
That's a lot of, what else can you buy for
So
$42,000? A
many things.
lot of things.
So many things. I'm thinking like 21,000 Powerball tickets. That's what I'm thinking.
I wonder, like, so we have limited information with this game, and I appreciate that, but like, who built it? Somebody, was this a backyard build that somebody got $42,000 for? That's mind blowing.
Go look it up on, I think this one was Cars and Bids. Go check it out there.
You want to do it now?
All right. Here's what's next.
Oh, okay. Oh, a 90 Monster Miata. I
I gotta
kind of
ask
like
you,
the
what do you like?
I like the body modifications. And so there were a number of companies out of Japan that made these very cool body modifications for NA Miatas that made them look like 60s Italian cars. Now, if you love 60s Italian cars, go check out this episode that we recently did on the Alpha 8C, where we reference a lot of classic Italian cars from the 60s.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a number of companies that did the same treatment of making a Miata look like a 60s Italian car. And this definitely had that treatment. This is a monster Miata, so you've got a Ford V8 in it, and it makes it seem like a Cobra. And it used to be poor man's Cobra, is the way that it would be described. But we just saw a $42,000 LS swapped Miata, so now I've got to think that somebody's going to pay a lot of money for this. 35,000, and I'm not comfortable saying those words, but for God's
21.
sakes.
This
Now,
seems like a deal compared to that LS3, right?
here's the thing. Miata has more provenance. You can trace back the fact that they kind of knew what they were doing. And I have no idea who did the work on the $42,000 one. So this is where I lose my mind. I'm glad that everybody's doing their thing and has fun and people have money, and that's great. But I really question a lot of the decisions that I see in the marketplace sometimes. And this is one of them.
You
21
should.
grand, that seems fair.
I question a lot of the decisions that people make out in the world. I think Tom Petty said people running around loose out in the world. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep track of people and what they're going to do. All right, moving on. We have one more, I think.
40,000 mile. It's a modified 94. It's got the R package with headers. It's got really terrible taillights. 4-point harness, but stock seats. All right, this person has made some decisions. Wait, severe damage? Is it a write-off? 6,000 miles.
No.
Man, you are making this really hard on me. So I gotta assume that it's an R title, like not just that it's an R, but it's a rebuilt, which is what poor pirates drive. Um,
Thrifty pirates.
Thrifty. No, well, $500 because it's an R. Because I'm assuming it's an R title.
What do you think this is going to go for?
Now I'm
Oh,
questioning
hold
it
on.
because you
Okay.
just said that.
What do you think it went for?
Under 10 because it's an R title.
All right, let's take a look.
Modified.
13. That's a lot of money.
For them. It is low miles, but severe damage. How is it fixed? 13 is all the money. I mean, it's all the money. And again, we don't necessarily know that it's a rebuilt title, but if it is, that's a tremendous amount of money for
Right.
what it is.
All right, so we looked at some auction results, and generally the trend right now is Miatas are holding their own. They're not depreciating anymore. And we're talking specifically about NA, NB, and NC. And NDs are still depreciating. Do you see any macro trends in the pricing of NAs?
I don't know if I see trends that are actually occurring in the market, or as I age, my preferences are coming to the forefront and I'm starting to support my own arguments. And what I mean by that is the older I get, the less I'm interested in modified cars and the more that I like survivors that are OEM. I'll accept a little OEM plus where you kind of put different wheels from the same manufacturer, but appreciate them more than ever. And I feel like the market is responding, right? You have that are increasing in value that are largely stock automobiles.
When you say survivor, what is a survivor to you? How many miles?
Under 50,000 miles on a
Okay,
35-year-old car is super low miles.
it is.
I prefer original paint to a respray. I like original color as opposed to a color change car. This
Mhm.
goes beyond Miatas. This is just my personal preferences. Period correct modifications like wheels that would have been available at the time the car was manufactured, or a mod that people would have done back in the day is okay. But man, a nice set of wheels that aren't curved, that are nice and well preserved. I'm a Northeast guy, so I don't like rust.
What would you expect someone to pay for Survivor NA?
The good news here is there's a ton of them because they weren't always bought as third cars, but in the collector market and for a lot of people, these were third cars. So there's a lot of low mileage, well preserved, always garaged cars. And even with that, $15,000 to $20,000 seems to be the going rate for a low mileage, well preserved, well loved Miata.
And well worth it, right?
Yeah, because you can't take a shitty NA, you pay 5 grand for it, and you sink 10 grand into it, you're not going to be up to the level of a 35,000 mile car that was cherished. Buy the nicest car you can find, whether it's a 4Runner Miata, doesn't really matter what it is. It's painful to me because I'm the cheap guy. Like, I like to find cars that are projects that I can do little things to and make them better. And you're always going to be ahead of the game. The whole idea of let's do a Miata episode really comes from Tom Mitano, who recently passed away. He's largely known as the father of the Miata. He was the Mazda chief engineer that really pushed this concept through and made it happen. So rest in peace to that guy, because not only was he a brilliant engineer, he was a really nice guy.
If we rewind before the Miata made it to the scene, what do you think Mazda was trying to solve with the Miata?
It really goes back to the early 80s.
It went that far back? Wow.
Yeah, the development started in 1983. And so if we think about 1983, what you're seeing is the death of the little British car. The British car industry kind of ceased to exist.
You don't think the TR8 was going to keep spirits alive?
I mean, the TR7, TR8, you had the MGB that was so long in the tooth. Plus, at that point, British cars had such a terrible reputation for reliability. So, really,
I know, I can verify.
we both had British cars. We know what they were like. They were bad. Even when they were new, Mazda wanted to bring back the joy, the enjoyment of a little sports car. Mazda thought they could make it better, and they did. Tom Mitano is considered the father of the Miata. Other people that are instrumental in bringing the Miata to market is Bob Hall. Bob Hall was a journalist who also lamented the loss of sports cars.
And if you're curious about what a sports car is and what a sports car isn't, we did an episode that defines what we believe a sports car is and what it isn't. Bob Hall, so did he work with Mazda? Was he a rogue player? Where does Bob Hall come in?
He became part of the development team. There's another guy, Yamamoto Kenichi, I believe is his first name. They were the team that brought the Miata to market. It was an uphill battle because at the time, people were thinking, this is a bygone era. We don't need little convertibles anymore. These three guys, they knew driving enjoyment doesn't go out of style.
Did Mazda have anything in their catalog that sort of approximated this, or was this new from the get-go?
Mazda was the right company to bring the Miata to market because they did have a sporting pedigree. Mazda had the RX-7, I mean, it was still front engine, rear drive, lightweight, but it used the Wankel rotary. So it was kind of a oddball, super high revving. What the Miata was a basic sports car with a proven drivetrain. It used a 1.6 liter four-cylinder engine, dual overhead cam. Spent a lot of time trying to dial it in to get the right noise, the right look. They wanted to approximate the best of the British sports cars.
Was there one car that they used as a target?
They did. It was the Lotus Elan. Look at a Lotus Elan, you will definitely see influence, let's call it, but definitely the Lotus Elan was one of the most attractive British sports cars. And so Mazda used that as a benchmark and definitely took some design cues to create the Miata.
What were Lotuses primarily known for?
Lotuses were all about lightweight and reliability.
Oh yeah, lightweight handling. So in addition to the looks of the Lotus Elan, the Mazda Miata team, they were probably aiming for some of those handling characteristics.
Colin Chapman, who was the owner of Lotus, he was very famous for saying that he added lightness to his cars, which was really a way of saying that, he removed all of the stuff that was unnecessary to make a car go. As a result, he made very quick and fast cars. Very much so a momentum car. Mazda kind of took that ball and ran with it. They wanted to make sure that the Miata remained a very lightweight, excellent handling automobile.
So double wishbone suspension at all four corners was a big deal on any car in the 80s.
They wanted it to feel and sound and look like an original British roadster. They just wanted to do it better.
We have to imagine there are people who have never driven an NA Miata. Can you just describe what it is to drive an NA Miata with the clutch, the shifter, like the weight of the steering.
I'm happy to do so. You and I both drove British cars extensively, largely because of our age. There were a lot more British cars around 20, 30 years ago, but I've driven a lot of different sports cars. Here's a little story, okay? It's story time. You ready for story time?
Let's
All
go.
right. So here's the deal. 1989, we had all the car magazines, Road and Track, as well as Car and Driver. And on the cover of both of those magazines is the Mazda Miata. And people are losing their minds. It's going on sale this summer. And I'm a 15-year-old and I'm a complete idiot. It's a lot like today. 15 years old, my dad looks at the magazine and he goes, yeah, let's go down to the dealer. And I'm blown away because that's not really. So we run down to the Mazda dealer with the magazine in hand. Nobody knew anything about it. The sales manager. And so we walk in and I'm like, look at what you guys are showing up with. And they had no idea. My dad actually had his name. He was the first guy, I believe I mean, we were definitely in Connecticut, but I believe he was the first guy on the waiting list because we showed up that day that the magazine came in. And we wait and we wait and we wait. And come July, car rolls in. It's a Mariner blue A package. We'll get into all that. Miata. The rest of this story is my dad actually passed on it because he couldn't fit golf clubs in the back. I was heartbroken. Years later, I ended up avenging this whole situation by buying a Miata. None of this is answering your question. So here we go. Are you ready?
Go
I will
ahead.
answer your question of what it's like to drive a Miata. First thing is you get in and you're greeted with the steering wheel. You've got the speedometer and the tach, and you turn the key. And this car sounds exactly like a little British car. It just has
Well,
that feeling.
it actually starts though.
And it starts every time. And it shuts off every time. It's amazing how reliable it is. But when you turn the key, there's a little bit of a vibration. And here's where Mazda was genius in the way they designed it. Even in 1989, 1990, cars were advanced enough where you could dial all of that out and you could have the smoothest, easiest running vehicle. But Mazda was smart enough to dial in a little bit of that coarseness so that you would feel it. And we're only going to talk about manual cars today because they did come in automatic, but we're not talking about them. So you got this manual transmission. And what was amazing about it, and still is as it falls to hand, you realize how tiny it is. There's a joke. There's several jokes in here. And at the time, it was the smallest, shortest throw that you could get from any factory car.
Not only was it short, it was so solid in the way it moved. So what I always loved about Miatas, you knew what gear you were in, and it wasn't difficult, but it wasn't too easy. Again, it sounds like that intentionally engineering in the effort or feeling that the car is there. So you knew that it was a little bit notchy, but it wasn't like it was broken.
Mechanical. It felt mechanical. And here's the thing, right? This is why the Miata endures. Enthusiasts want mechanical feeling automobiles because everything in 2025 is so automated that when you feel something mechanical that feels good, it makes you stop and become aware of it. It just feels so good. And that's the way the Miata felt out of the gate.
Miata is 35 plus years old at the moment. Have you driven an ND?
It's less mechanical than an NA, but it's still the same weight. So they were able to, over these last 35 years, stick to the script. And the script is let's make a lightweight sports car that is connected to the road and makes the driver and the car feel like one.
You mentioned that you owned a number of NAs. The car was as close to perfection as it could be coming from the factory, but nothing's ever perfect. What would you have changed to improve the car?
You ready for more story time?
Keep it short.
I go and find Mariner Blue Miata, the same car that my dad decided not to buy. And so when you ask me what would I change about it, what I would change about it is the short nose crank. Because my first 2 week of production Miata that had all of these little details that only early Miatas had, the dreaded short nose crank problem. It had a 1.6 liter dual overhead cam, 4-cylinder, great little engine, made noise, liked to rev. It was awesome. It also ate itself at 60,000 miles, but I did not have enough money to replace the engine when it popped. So I
Mm.
ended up selling it for like $500, and it really put me in a hole. So
Emotionally or financially?
both. It was heartbreaking because I loved that car.
So how common was that? So you keep mentioning the first 2 weeks of production. So was it just the really early cars, or was it all 1.6 liter engines?
The 1.6 went from the first of the first, so summer of 89 through 1993, but the short nose crank problem existed not in all cars, but in some up until I believe like mid 1992. So, we've talked about 911s in previous episodes, and maybe we can put a link or something, but talk about 911s having an IMS issue, right?
Yep.
an issue that would eat the engine, deem it worthless. And so the Miatas had a very similar problem. I don't know what the percentage is of cars that were affected. You knew to avoid the early cars.
Was there a fix that you could have done, or was it just luck of the draw? Boom, when its time was up.
You would go on the forums. There were some people promoting JB welding front of the crank, and that was going to fix it. I did find a guy that would help me figure that out. He seemed pretty reputable. He had a bunch of Miatas. It didn't work. Really, the thing that you had to do is either replace the crankshaft, which was expensive and you're tearing the engine apart, or you just replaced it with another engine. Earlier, you had asked me, like, what modification would you want to make it better? Put a set of sticky tires on it. That's the biggest difference you can make performance-wise.
Something that I always thought was really interesting with the Miata is that it turned ordinary people into enthusiasts. So Mazda makes this car to recapture the magic of 60s, 70s British roadsters. But those cars were geared toward or appreciated by people who were already car enthusiasts. What do you think it was about the Miata that could take somebody who was looking for transportation but wanted a sort of fun car? They buy a Miata, it all clicks, and they're like, I love driving. Driving is a thing. It's no longer just transportation.
The Miata fits the bill. It was inexpensive. It wasn't that much more money than, say, a 323 or a 626. Could afford it. They get in because it's a low entry point and still reliable. And then they realize, oh my goodness, suddenly the journey is the destination because driving this car is something I want to do. If I have to be at work at 9 o'clock, maybe I'll get up and get out the door at 7 just so I can drive for a little while. And for a lot of folks, that had never happened before. It's not a fast car. Okay, it had less than 120 horsepower originally. But the way the car handled, those double wishbones that we talked about, all of it combines to provide an experience. Driving that car feels so connected and so right. And all of that is due to the fact that every decision that Mazda made was a result of making sure this car was exciting to drive. But Jinbai Atai means horse and rider. This car, you have a connection to it. I keep saying that word connection because you feel the car, you feel what it's doing. The exhaust note is tuned exactly so that it sounds like a little British roadster, so that it sounds the right way. You feel like you're part of the car. They don't go fast down a straight line, but once you hit a curve, you don't have to hit the brakes because they handle so well.
When it first came out, what colors was it available in?
You had your choice of classic red, still white, or mariner blue. I know I used to call mine Smurf blue.
It's fair.
Very Smurfy.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can tell you about those three original colors is crystal white had the unique ability to peel all of its paint off. In the late 80s, early 90s, most manufacturers had problems with white paint, and Mazda was no exception.
So would that paint peel itself off after some time, or just when you're driving down the road and a gust of wind hits it?
It definitely was some time, but it was the first color to start failing. A lot of manufacturers have had recalls over paint throughout the years. General Motors had a problem with white. Honda as late as 2010, 2012. The next time you see that generation Pilot or Odyssey, look on the roof because about half of them have missing paint on the roof. White, for some reason, is a really hard color to keep on your car.
Would you say that the phrase white on rice then is a misnomer?
I would, I don't know who I would say that to, but I would maybe make that argument.
All right. Over the years, there were some special edition Miatas. First of all, they're all special, just like every driver of Miata is a little special. When was the first official special edition?
We're going geeky now. You ready? Halfway through 1990, but they added a color to the lineup. Silverstone, they called it, presumably after the racetrack. But the first official special edition was a 1991 British Racing Green on biscuit leather.
Were the special editions much more expensive or an extra $50?
More expensive than like a base model. So didn't provide many parts beyond a special color. In most cases, these were an appearance package. As Mazda went throughout the NA life cycle, they changed the name of special edition a couple times. Some interior doodads. I know that Nardi partnered with Mazda for some of these cars. So you got a shift knob and you got a handbrake lever.
Here we're gonna go through the colors of the NA Miata.
So 1991, we already talked about the British Racing Green. In 1992, there was a Sunburst Yellow. In addition to that, there was the first black Miata. That one had a tan leather interior. In 1993, you had the black come back as a special edition. This one was with a red leather interior. The red leather interior also had a Panasonic stereo with equalizer and these like really cool aluminum adornments on the speaker grills. 1994 gave us the R model. We'll talk about that in a moment. In addition to that, 94 had Laguna Blue as the special edition. 1995 was a Merlot, which was purple. It was aubergine or eggplant, depending on how you identify, with a tan leather interior. 1996 was green mica, I believe. And then 1997 was the green mica. I believe they called it the
96 was the
STO.
blue mica. 96 was the blue mica.
96 was the blue mica, and then 97 was the green, metallic British racing green, different from the 1991, which was non-metallic.
I know you're a fan of the dad jokes, so I'm curious. Do you know which Miata a pirate would drive?
What a pirate drive.
The R package.
That was awesome. Masterful.
Yeah.
Well played, sir. Let's
Sure.
talk about the R package for a second.
The cars handled so well from the factory. Was there like a normal and a sport version aside from the R package? But were the cars sprung similarly?
You did have the R package, but for the most part, for most people that went in to buy a car, you had the base model that had really no options. And then you had a option package A, option package B, and option package C. Did it have air conditioning? Was it available with an automatic? Did it have leather? Did it have an upgraded stereo? Really, what the R package gave you, first off, it's worth noting the R package came out in 94, culminated in 1997, the last year of the NA. And that car came with lighter wheels. They were already light, but these were hollow spoke wheels. It came with an upgraded suspension. I believe it had Bilsteins on it. It had a rear spoiler, front air dam, I don't remember. It had in 95, 96, and 97 a tighter steering rack. It definitely wasn't power steering. So these cars are sought out. They were enthusiasts really like the extra performance that these provided. But it is also worth noting, because we talked about, are these fast cars? There were no modifications to make it faster.
There were no modifications to give it more power, but it probably handled a little better, so it could have been faster through corners.
Yes, and it was lighter because it was based off of a base model with not a lot of options.
So you mentioned power steering. I know that all of the original or the first batch of Miatas did not have power steering, and later it was added. Was it an option later, or did they all come with power steering?
And I genuinely don't know the answer. I don't know if it was part of option B or C
Okay.
that you could get power steering. I don't remember. So if anybody knows, please drop it in the comments.
Do you know the production numbers of the R? Because I have them right
What
here.
do we have I know we went from 94 to 97, and I know 97 was like a ridiculously small number.
47. So in 1997, there were only 47 R package cars. In 96, there were 111. In 95, there were 465. But the most came out in 94, and there were a little bit more than 1,200. Still not huge production numbers, right?
That is definitely low production. And they were sought out. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe not by 97, since only 47 went out the door. But it seems to me that Mazda limited the production more than buyers.
I don't know if they kept it to 47. 47 seems like they ran out of takers at that point.
And I guess that's another point. By the time the NA reached 95, 96, 97, people knew all about them. They knew what they were. And I think people were getting bored with them a little bit.
Well, let's talk about reputation. I mean, so there are some cliches about the Miata. So what are some of them?
It's hard to understand in 2025, at least for me. In the 90s, before enthusiasts took hold of the Miata, and it had a very effeminate connotation to it. So
I remember thinking the same thing until I drove one.
the way I like to think of it, I was an early adopter. I got to be honest with you, give a shit what people think of me, and I never have. I like what I like. I know who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am. Don't say it.
We embrace all flavors of Johnny Miata.
People made fun of me a lot. They were like, "You just bought the biggest girl's car ever."
People said, it is a gay man's car. I never quite understood. I never owned a Miata, but I've defended Miata on so many occasions. And the thing I would say to people would be, drive one. That's all you have to do, and you'll get it. And you can think whatever you want, and you can say, oh, it doesn't have a big engine, or it doesn't make big numbers.
It's a car for everyone. It's a car for some. Well, it's not a car for people who have 6 children.
Since we're talking about nicknames that the car earned, and you say it's a car for everyone, we think of like the Corvette as America's sports car. Is there a similar badge to the Miata?
There is. If you're watching this and you've made it this far, I'm going to assume you already know that Miata is always the answer. When it comes to sports cars, if you want a sports car, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money, there's a Miata for you. This
There.
car levels the playing field, right? Look, I love Porsches and I love some of the higher end stuff. But nothing beats a Miata for entry level sports car fun.
Miata is always the answer. Right now, we're going to do rapid fire Miata trivia, and this is going to cover all four generations of Miata. Johnny's got 30 seconds to answer as many questions as he can. Johnny, are you ready? Go.
What was the first model year of the Miata NA in the US? Officially in 1990, although they came out in summer of 1989.
Yep.
Which generation is famous for the pop up headlights? The NA. 1.6 liter NA engine code is pass. In 1994, the NA gained a larger engine. It went to 1.8 liters.
Go.
Which generation switched to a 5 lug, the NC?
Yes.
The NC introduced an optional power retractable hardtop. What model year did that debut? It was 2006.
2007.
Darn it. Which generation brought the retractable fastback body style? Ooh, I don't know. 2012?
2017.
17. Okay.
One more.
Okay.
One more. Go ahead.
What does torsion refer to the limited slip differential?
That's right. All right. That's time. All right. Next round. 3, 2, 1.
Which special edition introduced the six speed to the 1999 NB? The Shinzen, like something like that, starts with an S. Oh, the 10th anniversary, the blue one with the blue top. Darn it, black and blue interior. Which generation bumped the US 2 liter to 181? The NC.
ND2.
ND2. True or false? All NA Miatas came with a little. No, false. False.
That's correct.
NB facelift arrived for which model year? 1998.
2001.
Factory turbo US Miata is officially called the Mazda Speed Miata, or
Yep.
MX-5. Fine. Approximate curb weight trend. Which generation is generally the heaviest? It's the newest one. It's like 100 pounds heavier than the first one.
No,
Oh,
NC.
NCs are heavier than an ND. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Which generation returned to a four? It's got to be the ND.
Yes.
On an ND Club manual, what drivetrain bits typically come standard versus Grand Touring? Name one key difference. I pass. I don't know. Mechanical limited slip. Okay. What does R package signify? Okay, it's got lighter wheels. It's supposed to be performance oriented with Bilstein shocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Go.
Which NA special edition came? It's the 1991.
Yeah.
True or
Go.
false? The NC hardtop
Come on.
disappears into the trunk. If true.
Yeah.
False.
False.
The 1.8 commonly rated around 118 horsepower, give or take.
Ooh.
128. In 2001, the NB gained variable valve timing on the 1.8. What small bump did that bring? Increased horsepower, increased range, rotor curve.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. The NB Mazda Speed factory output was, oh gosh, I don't remember. 170,
178.
178.
That's a lot. That's healthy.
Yeah. That's a only one generation used a Ford developed platform. Oh, it's the Mercury, the Capri. Capri?
NC.
NC. Wait. Only one generation used a Ford co-developed platform. I did not know that. All right, I didn't know that. I thought you were going to go with the Mercury. What's the nickname for the 2016 to 2018 versus the power bumped ND? I don't know the nickname. What is it? Oh,
ND1 versus ND2.
the
Yeah.
10th anniversary edition, 1999, was famous for what three mechanical bits as a package? I mean, the limited slip and some Bilsteins.
Yeah.
Okay. Approximate curb weights. Rank these lightest to heaviest. The NA is the lightest, the ND is the second lightest, and the NC is the heaviest.
Yes.
Which generation is the only factory turbo Miata sold in the U.S.? It's the NB.
Boom. Mazda speed.
Approximate U.S. curb weight of a base NA 5-speed no hardtop in pounds is it 2,800? Oh
20 what?
God,
2,800. Johnny. No way. It's way less than
I keep
that.
thinking like NCs. 2,100 pounds is a okay. Approximate
What
U.S.
about
curb weight of a typical NC in pounds. That's going to be like 2,800.
you're a little off.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you're right. It's heavier. It's way heavier than an NA.
Yep. ND2 redline. Does it redline at like 7,400?
Yes.
7,500. Okay.
Close.
Okay.
Very close.
Factory wheel bolt pattern by generation. All right. So 4, 4, 5, 4.
Okay. 4, 454. Yeah, you didn't get the spacing, but we can't expect too much from you. We're getting you up early on a Tuesday morning here.
Model year for the NDRF first appeared in the US, the ND 2019?
17.
17.
That's it. Games. You want to play another game?
Let's play some games. I'm in.
All right, so this next game, this is incredibly tough. We are going to have Johnny try to identify the sound between different Miata engines. And I don't think he's going to get any of them right. There's such little variation in the engines. This is all generations of Miata. But also, we have the variable of who's recording the sound, where's the microphone, what are they recording it on? But it's fun to make them squirm.
I'm good at squirming. And so just to be clear, NA, NB, NC, ND.
E-I-E-I-O.
Okay, now, it's a time to make some noise.
We're playing Miata music. I want you to tell me what you think the engine is.
Okay, I'm ready.
What do you think?
NA? Early?
NB, that was Miata speed.
Miata speed with a turbo?
Yeah, he seems incredulous, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't believe his ears. All right, next.
Let's go next. To me, that sounds like an NA 1.6.
NB, it was stock.
It's the same. Well, this is the 1.8 liter, so it's not the 1.6. This is hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to get them all wrong. It's okay.
No, I don't like it. NA?
NA with the NA 1.8.
With
Yeah.
the Cobalt exhaust. I can't believe I didn't get the Cobalt exhaust based on that sound clip.
All right,
Woo!
here's
Okay.
another one.
Much more refined. So let's say NC.
Okay, you got a hint here in the title.
Tina?
All
Dynamite approved.
right, what are his initials?
Oh, is it a new one? The ND? I did not see
It is.
the ISR exhaust. I was just about to say the ISR exhaust. I feel shame.
Okay. Well, you're performing shamefully.
I know nothing about Miatas. How am I even here?
Okay. I know. Is your name really Johnny Miata? I'm starting to think that's a stage
I
name.
mean, this is all the answers. Is this one all four engines at the same time? And I've got to. Everything else but the NC so far. So it's got to be an NC. It seems very dialed in.
1.6 stock. It's
Oh,
all the answers.
Jesus.
Miata is always the answer, man.
Miata is always the answer. By the
Apparently.
way, even, well, let me just say, I'm going to try to deflect for a moment, but out of all of the Miatas, my favorite, even though I had a terrible experience that financially ruined me as a young man, a 1.6 is still my favorite. Early 1.6. They're
Why?
revvy. They're not fast like all the Miatas. I'm sure 35 years later, broken motor mounts probably make them even more vibrating or vibration prone. But when you have a well sorted one, it just feels so good when you start it up or when you're driving. You have so much feedback more than the other ones, even more than the 1.8.
And the
Love it.
1.8 only gave us a little bit more horsepower, probably some more torque.
Yeah, and I'm still don't remember exactly how many horses the 1.6 had. I think it's 118, but I don't specifically remember. I mean, it's
Yeah, I think it's around there. Yeah. The
it's so
answer is not enough.
inconsequential to the car. It's not enough. You're right.
All right, we got a couple more.
Okay. NA with an exhaust.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was actually there was that high pitched whistle in there. Is that characteristic of the 1.8, or is that just this
I'm,
guy's exhaust with a hole in
might
it?
be this guy's exhaust. I mean, I've had both 1.6s and 1.8s. There really isn't a lot of difference. I find the 1.8 is slower to rev than the 1.6, but that's about it. So, in terms of exhaust note, they're nearly identical, which is why this game is enjoyable, but also the deck is stacked against me.
Well, that's why we're playing this game.
I figured. I know what we're doing. Wow, off the rev limiter. ND?
That car was on a dyno. That's why it was okay. What did you say? NB?
D is in dog. D with an
It was an
aftermarket
NB.
exhaust. We don't know which one.
There you go.
I really hope this is an ND and that you're not just messing with me.
What's your guess?
ND?
All right, let's make it easier. So yes, it's an ND. Does it have a stock or an aftermarket exhaust?
I think it has a, well, let's give it a little burbles, I guess. Let's go aftermarket. Oh,
Nope.
stock AF.
We got another one.
They do sound good stock. I mean, I will say,
The ND is not just a good-looking car, but it's a good-sounding car as well. Next.
1.8. 1.8, maybe a stock exhaust.
Is the NC a 1.8?
No, I don't know. Did they go to 2 liters at any point? See, NCs and NDs, they're not as pretty as an NA though. So I don't
No.
know. I don't know. I believe that the NC is direct injection, so it should have that ticking noise that's characteristic with a,
Yeah, that ticking noise. So when I'm driving the 4C, it's a direct injection engine. The ticking noise at idle, it sounds like something's broken. So I guess there's so much pressure in the fuel rail there. Tick, 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 tick.
yeah, it's always really off-putting to me.
It's not even pretty like a diesel at idle.
No, no, no. There's nothing like a diesel at idle, but you know what's going on. With the
Right.
direct injection, I guess we know what's going on now. But when they first came out, it was like, this is better? Are you sure?
That's it. You're a smart guy now, Johnny. You got
Lefty
educated.
says, no, no, you're done.
Right now.
So let's talk about Tom Mitano a little bit because he's a really interesting guy.
Where's he
I
from?
guess
Wait a second. Is he Japanese or is he American?
Japanese. Tom was short. It was his Americanized name. After school, as a young man, he moved to the United States. I believe he started out in LA. I think there might have been somewhere else in between, but he ended up in New York City. And the thing about Tom Mitano that resonates with so many people, including myself, is that the Miata is a fun, happy, enjoyable car. You become part of the experience.
It looks like a happy car. The car just has a beautiful, happy, smiling face.
It totally does. And when you think about the father of the Miata, when you see interviews with Tom Mitano, or if you happen to play Gran Turismo, he's in that game talking about the NA Miata. And he has this anecdote about having a letter written to him. He was invited to a wedding from two people that were married because they met at a Miata event and they loved Miata so much, they invited Tom to their wedding. And while he couldn't go, he wrote back, a really nice letter and explained like how much he appreciated it. Tom was the type of guy that he was the human form of the Miata. Everybody says it. Universally praised for being a warm, friendly, happy guy who was living his best life. He really cared about the car and the people that bought the car, and he was genuinely kind to everybody that knew who he was and approached him and wanted to talk Miata.
Did he spend his whole career at Mazda, or was he somewhere else before that or after
So
that?
he had a path, and in his earlier days, I know he spent time at BMW, and prior to BMW, there was another manufacturer, but for the most part, it was Mazda. The lion's share of his career was spent at Mazda.
Was he a public figure? I mean, did people see him? Did he attend events? Was he interested in motorsport? Or did people just know him as a behind the scenes sort of shadow character?
No, I mean, I think that because Miata has such a strong following and people were so interested in the car, they wanted to know everything about it, right? Especially the owners. The more they drove it, the more they loved it, the more they wanted to see how it was made and created. And Tom was a very public figure. There's lots of automotive engineers out there. Most of them, we don't know their names. But Tom was a guy that went to events. He was happy to do interviews. He was excited that people loved the work that he did. He was appreciative of the fact that people really, his work resonated with so many different people. And he fostered that sort of sense of community that Miata also fostered. So he was a great ambassador to the brand and to automobiles as a whole.
the way, people would have Carroll Shelby sign their dashboard, would people want Tom to do that to their car, or was it not or was he not elevated to deity status the way Carroll Shelby was?
Deity is a great word. If you're into the Miata religion, Mitano's your guy. He's definitely achieved sainthood within the Miata community. So yeah, I think if you had a Miata and you happen to see Tom Mitano at an event, not only would you want him to sign something, it appears that he was the type of guy that would be happy to do so.
Mhm.
He just, again, ambassador is probably the best way to say it.
This is something that I always loved about Miatas, especially the NA. And maybe you can tell people out there if they've never experienced the joy. What made the NA's top different from a British Roadster's top?
Oh,
In my
that's a
mind,
great
there are two
question.
key characteristics.
Yes. The fact that we both own British Roadsters and understand the sequence in putting a top up versus the Miata, that's the huge difference. The Miata was designed so that you could literally do this. There was a handle, and you could lift that top up with one hand without getting out of the driver's seat. And then there were two clips on either side. It was as easy and as intuitive as you could get, which is not how it was on British Roadsters.
Correct. And the other thing that makes it really different from British Roadster tops is
I'm hoping the place you're going is the fact that the plastic window in the back could unzip, fold flat, and you wouldn't break it. They engineered it so that that top would work for years and years. And the plastic window that they originally had, the later cars had glass windows, but they baked into the idea of, well, if it's cold and I put the top down, the window's going to split, which it did in British cars all the time. But the Miata was designed so that you could unzip it, lay it flat, put the top down, even when it was freezing out.
yeah. One of the features that I really liked one of the features that I really like with a Miata top is that it's watertight. You know, many many
You know
British
what? I should have
roadsters.
gone a little more elemental because you're absolutely right. Yeah, it would keep the water out, which was refreshing because that is not how most British cars operated.
Right. And it seems like such a simple thing. So the what you were mentioning with the latching is super simple in an NA. But I had a TR6, and to latch it, first of all, the top was old, so it was tight, and you had to stretch it, and you had to get these two pins into the top of the windshield frame, and then there were these two little wrenches that you had to turn in. Um,
Yes.
and if it fit, fine, it would close if it were warm enough. But if it were a chilly day when you really need the top, the vinyl would shrink. But those two wrenches, it was like you would slip and you would like scrape up your knuckles, or it was just so difficult to do, and it just didn't have to be.
User friendly, I can't say that it hadn't been created. There were things that were user friendly in the 1960s, but it hadn't gotten back to the Brits as it pertained to automobiles. And that's really where Mazda came into its own, right? A lot of the Japanese manufacturers, they just made things better. And at the time, we kind of considered it to be copying or cheating.
We
But
did.
the reality was they didn't just make a facsimile of whatever it is they were creating. They tried to solve problems that the originals inherently had. And that's the best thing about the Miata. It solved so many of the problems that made British cars hard to live with.
I don't think they were right. So they obviously were upfront with this idea to recreate a British roadster. And I think one of the first print ads, I don't know if you know this, but I think it said something like the headline was something like, "We used to call them Lotuses, Alphas, and MGs." It was something like that. And they were clearly saying, we know that there's this genre of car, and we're doing that again. Like, look, everybody. And it's in ads like this where they say, "Haven't we met somewhere before?" And even this one where they say, "We set motoring back 30 years. Look, this one. They actually have a picture of a Porsche 356. And this here, one of my favorite print ads ever. But they didn't say, "Hey, we did it way better than the Italians or the British." They didn't have to say that.
Right. It was very respectful. I believe that when the Miata came out, the advertising was spot on because it was tapping into a nostalgia for a car that was no longer a type of car that was no longer produced. But it wasn't disparaging of those cars.
Yeah.
It was, here's all the fun without all the pain.
Yeah.
Somebody's jumping into a Miata, like they're jumping over the door. and there's
Right.
like a beautiful, like, very traditional American house with the American flag, and they're like getting into their Miata. And that was an early print ad, and I remember just thinking as a 15-year-old, like, I want that. I want that experience.
Mhm.
And eventually I got it.
What do you think some of the biggest misconceptions about the Miata are? We talked about it being, not quite a masculine car. We covered that. But are there other misconceptions you think people have about the car?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, look, this car has had more lives than a cat. Those early cars were so sought after that there were huge dealer markups. 35 years ago, there were huge dealer markups on the 1990 cars.
Any
And that
idea as a percentage? Any idea as a percentage what that might have been?
I mean, I remember cars that were selling for like base models that were 11 or 12 being marked up to like 18, 19. People, and that was a ton of money 35 years ago.
Mhm.
But there was such a demand for this car. As we kept going and they became used cars, and again, we talked a little bit about what people were, the reputation that they developed. That went on and they became a little bit more affordable, or a lot more affordable. And then Spec Miata Racing showed up. And there was a race series that you could only use a Miata for. And Miatas were so cheap that people would buy them, fix them, and race them in this race series. And it actually took a lot of the marginal cars away. But I think it was at that point that people realized how much fun they were to drive, that they were legitimate sports cars. And the Spec Racing series to watch was really, really exciting.
Mhm.
We move on from there and we talk about the stance crowd, right? You have a whole new generation of people that look at Miatas and they want to do camber and they want to lower them and they want to make them their own, and drifting comes into play. So this car has had so many different lives. So many different people and enthusiasts have gone through this car and used it to the best of their abilities, that I don't know, it's had a lot of life cycles. And I like to think that the place we are at now is, with all of the marginal cars gone, you're left with nicer and nicer examples. And the Miata is finally a classic car, a bona fide classic car.
Everything is there anything else you want to talk about?
I would love to hear from people who love these cars and what they want to know about them.
Is there ever a time when Miata is not the answer?
If you have a family of 6, it's really hard to get everybody into a Miata. If it's a blinding snowstorm, Miata may not be the answer. Although perfect weight distribution, which we didn't talk about, 50-50 weight distribution, makes it much better in the snow than you would think. With snow tires, of course.
Have you ever driven your Miata in the past in the snow?
I have, and it is very well balanced, and it's not something I recommend, but it's something that's doable. It's way more doable than you think.
This has been Bid Left Nut. We're wrapping up, and we will see you again next week with more automotive auction content. And
Okay.
as usual,
You should subscribe and share this with
Yeah.
your friends.
and please speed safely.
It's good to see everybody, and we will see you soon.